What's up? I'm Raymond.
Hey, I'm right back at you. I'm John.
You're listening to Foulin Out.
Episode number 5.
Number 5.
Big 5. We can count all the episodes on one hand now.
That is incredible.
Well, we used to be able to before, right?
Oh, yeah.
You could do 1 on one hand and 2 on another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But hey, we use all 5 fingers now.
Yeah. Well, I actually only have 4 fingers. That's really insensitive of you, actually.
Oh, do you have a thumb instead of another finger?
Yeah, I have 2 thumbs.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I never really noticed that.
Yeah, I should probably get that checked out by a doctor.
You never know. It's just, it's just a different ability. It could be a superpower.
You know what it's like? So, like, monkeys, we evolved we have, like, opposable thumbs. So I'm, like, a more evolved human because I have 2 thumbs, which is more than 1.
You're doubly opposable.
Yeah.
You're quadposable.
I think, you know what, actually our listeners are probably opposed to this bit right now, I'm going to be honest.
They probably are opposed to it. But you know what they're not opposed to?
Oh, I know.
Today's sponsor, which is...
You still don't have a... I thought you were going to talk about, like, what we're actually going to talk about.
I thought so too, but I thought we were going to announce our new sponsor, but...
We don't have a sponsor, dude.
We don't have a sponsor yet.
Maybe one day.
One day,
we keep talking about it. If we keep talking about it, speak it into reality. That's how that works.
We're getting the word of mouth going around.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Somebody's going to want us.
One day.
One day. That's my hopes.
Mm-hmm.
In real life and in this life.
Is this not real life?
Is it?
Is this like Second Life? That game?
Yeah, it's like my second life. I go to school and then I go away and I do this kind of stuff.
Oh. I was thinking more like Second Life the game where you like can... I don't know.
This isn't The Sims, Raymond.
Yeah, it's like The Sims. It's an actual game. It's where like people actually like they played it and like would neglect like their family and just like sit on the computer all day and like I don't know, have like a waifu in the video game world.
Hey, it's their life. Let them do what or their lives. Well,
it's my life, whatever I wanna do. Or if you're more of a Bon Jovi guy, it's my life, it's now. You're looking at me like you don't want me to sing.
Billy Joel, that's the song.
Oh, did I say Billy Joel?
No, you said Bon Jovi.
No, Bon Jovi does it's my life, it's now or never.
No, have you heard the Billy Joel song My Life?
What's that? How's that one go? Sing it for me.
I can't really sing it for you right now. I'm sort of forgetting the lyrics.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of songs about
here we
lives.
go. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life.
Okay.
Do.
Right.
Go to hell with your own life.
So what we've learned is that there's a lot of songs about my life.
Yeah, because my life is so important.
Yeah.
I don't know who would ever want to write a song about your life.
Yeah, it's lame.
But our viewers must have interesting lives because they're listening to us now. And it was a big week for us.
Big week.
Big week.
Let's go Tech, baby.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about our NCAA team, our beloved Virginia Tech Hokies. And they take the Blue Devils, oh my God. The Duke Blue Devils down 77-72 at home. Wow. Led by the absolute monster himself, Kerry Blackshear.
Terrence Blackshear.
Oh, this guy just gets everything done.
What a legend.
He's so underrated.
I really think... I was talking to you about his growth that he's had since Justin Robinson went down. Coming from a guy that... He's always had the talent to being a guy that's so consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Just so consistent. He lives for the big moments.
Mm-hmm. And he has so much poise, especially when he gets down in that low or high post. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. So comfortable.
Yeah, in the beginning of the season, I was just like, I don't know if he has any, like, significant post move that he can just use to back people down reliably, mainly because they were still using Justin Robinson as the guy to get the ball to everybody. Mm-hmm. But now with Justin Robinson out, Kerry's gone from a guy averaging 14 a game to he's averaging, like, close to, 21, 22 a game now?
Since, or for the season or since?
Since Justin Robinson.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely over 20. I think he
had one game where he was less than 20.
Yeah, so he's definitely over 20 a game average.
Yeah. But let's take it from the top here. So obviously, right off the bat, this was the best game of the season thus far for Virginia
Easily.
Tech. The reason why it was the best game, they played a complete team game.
Everyone contributed.
Everybody got involved from the tip to the end buzzer. Everybody was involved. Everybody was scoring too. Hell, Beatty was making shots.
Oh, he had an early 3, I remember, just to get him started. And
Yeah.
that's when you knew we had a shot.
I was just like, oh my God, Beatty made, he was open in the corner. It was a pretty open shot because Duke left him alone, probably because they had done their homework and realized, yeah, this guy averages like 3 points a game.
Yeah.
So they probably just realized, okay, he's probably not going to make a lot of shots. If he's going to make a shot, it's going to be him beating us to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
So they just left him open. Boom, right away, got a 3. So I was just like, oh boy, if he's making shots, everybody on this team should be making shots. And we saw that Hill was making shots. Outlaw made some crucial 3s down the stretch. But yeah, like getting into it, we have to first address the whole storyline going into this game was mainly based around Zion Williamson not playing.
Yeah. Which is big, of course.
Oh yeah, he's a big dude, and without having him on the court, especially because they've been playing with him for so long, it's been 27 or 25 games that they've played with that guy.
Yeah.
And now adjusting to an abrupt change without him, as we've seen with our own program, Virginia Tech, it takes some time to get a team used to playing without one of their best players, if not their best player. Even though personally, I think R.J. Barrett is the better player on the team, although he doesn't have the most amount of raw talent, which Zion has. But ESPN and all the people out there that were commentating on this game or looking ahead to this game, the big storyline was Zion's out. Zion's out. What's Duke gonna do? But they don't realize that we've been playing without our star point guard, the number 1 Virginia Tech assist leader, and 3rd in points total at Virginia Tech, guy named Justin Robinson.
Yeah.
I am
very important to our team.
The amount of disrespect levied on us by just omitting that information is just terrible. I feel sort of offended by it because if you don't say that Justin Robinson's out or you don't address it, you're addressing or you're not like revealing the full complete facts of the game. Virginia Tech has been without him for like 8 games now. We had to play UVA, we had to play Louisville, we had to go through a lot of that, growing pain and stuff without him. So I think not addressing the Justin Robinson issue is a bit of disrespect or a slant to Virginia Tech, especially since how good we've been throughout the season. I think we get a little bit more respect, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when you look at these big TV networks or news sites, they want people to see Duke as this unbeatable, or not unbeatable, but this monster program, because that's what's going to draw the views. That's what's going to draw people in. If you can look at a team like Duke, the way it's constructed, people are going to watch that. I mean, we saw that with the UNC Duke game. Ticket prices through the roof.
$2,600.
It was It was over 3,000.
Oh my god.
We talked about that last podcast, and you can see why sites like ESPN would focus on them, because that's what their viewers are focusing on. But at the end of the day, ESPN and these other news sites have a responsibility to the viewer to be intellectually honest. And I think when you don't talk about the fact that Justin Robinson is out, and you sort of come in with this predisposition to only be looking at what Duke is missing, what Duke has to do to adjust, then you're pretty much admitting to like a big basketball school bias.
Yeah, blue blood bias, pretty much. And there were countless times during the game, you were there for a little bit of it, where they would show the game on one side of the screen and then just show Zion on the bench.
He was just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like Big Yoshi.
Yeah.
He's sitting there.
Big Yoshi. We love you, Donkey. But anyway, that's completely why show him? I just wanted to watch the game.
Yeah.
But they showed Zion for a good 2 minutes.
It was a solid 6 possessions. You know, they would go miss a shot, get a rebound, go down the court, and they do this a few times. All the while, it's like a tiny little box on the screen. Zion's giant head is like taking up the other half of the screen. He's sitting there staring straight ahead. He's like glazed over look in his eye. And it's like, why are you showing this?
Yeah, they did it in the first half and in the second half. And I was just like, come on, guys. Just show the actual game. I hate it when they just show Zion on the bench. But hopefully he comes back. Because it's definitely, you want to play against like all of Duke when you want to play Duke. You don't want to play him, completely injured. Even though it's nice that we got the win.
Yeah.
You want to play a team at full force. But yeah, moving on, getting a little bit more into the game. It was getting into the completeness of the game. Everybody was making shots. Everybody had their assignment. Everybody knew what they were doing. It was such a well-coached game from Buzz Williams. Everything was going right. Duke had a lot of fouls too, so Virginia Tech got to the line 29 times.
That's a lot.
They made 23 out of 29 free throws.
Very good. Very good.
Rule number 1 of John Harsh basketball.
We remember.
Make your goddamn free throws, and they did it. Although Duke was hitting them too. I think Duke had a better free throw percentage, or close to it.
I mean, they're also a very disciplined team. That's, I think, one of the marks of a disciplined team is making your free throws, because it's so easy to beat yourself when you get the opportunity to close a game with free throws at the end of the game, or to win a possession when the defense makes a lapse and fouls you. You have to punish a defense for that because they made a mistake, and that's why you get the free throws. But if you don't punish them, then it's a good defensive play pretty much. Yeah. And you don't want that. You don't want to make fouling something that benefits the defense.
Yeah, and I really think a lot of the Duke guys, it was just sort of hard for them because our guys played very physically and got up in their bodies and stuff when going up for shots. Like, you look at some of Kerry Blackshear's highlights, he was going up against Deloyer and Marquise Bolden and stuff, and the guys are just huge, so it's sort of easy to draw that foul on them if you're a ref. Because you see, like, Kerry Blackshear going up against a guy, getting contact. And although it may not be a foul if the guy's, like, the same height, it's hard not to throw the foul when you're going up against somebody that's 7 foot, like Marquise Bolden. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of understanding for why Duke got so many fouls and why Virginia Tech got to the line so many times. But, Virginia Tech realized that and took advantage of it.
Yeah, you have to. And I think, take it to the rim, good things happen, and that's what they did.
Yeah. Getting a little bit more into the game as well, Blackshear had a lot of highlights.
Oh, yeah.
There were some crucial, I don't know how he makes some of these, floater shots from the elbow. And he's just standing there. And, he's because they're doing that wheel. He sort of stands there and lets the guys roll around him, see if he wants to hand the ball off, and see if they get any driving lanes to go take it to the hoop. But he was just standing at in the high post, taking shots and nailing them. He was, I think, 9 of 11 or 8 of 11 on the night.
Really he shot very high percentage.
Really impressed with him. And then, of course, the play of the game.
The move. That's a career highlight for him.
Oh, yeah. Getting the number 4 prospect up in the air, faking him on the 3, and then taking it all the way to the rim and slamming it
The rim
home.
rattler.
Oh, I was on my feet for that one. That was one of the best moments of the game.
Oh yeah, you love to see that. That's why you love the game of basketball, for plays like that. The dude is a beast, a physical beast. He got up. He jumped. It wasn't like he was jumping from the free throw line, but he was jumping. He got up from a good ways away from the rim, and it didn't look like he was coming down anytime soon.
Oh no, he was pretty high up there.
Yeah.
And he can shoot the 3, and he can shoot the mid range too. He's got everything. Mm-hmm. That's why Reddish was probably off his feet, because he was expecting a 3 from him.
Yeah, dude shoots 40% from 3.
And that's just the overall development of Blackshear from the beginning of the season, where he's sort of just been that the guy that's working in the post, sort of getting his 12, 14 a game. Getting some rebounds and stuff, to now being a well-rounded player who's 6'10", has a significant amount of post moves, can shoot from the high post and the three-point line as well, and is doing it at a very high rate. He's very successful. So to see that transformation from where he was in November to where he is now, I'm so happy for the guy.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Al Horford in the way he plays the game. This undersized center that when you look at his game, you can just see how much of an impact he can make on the offensive end, even when he's not scoring, just the attention he brings and what he forces defenses to do, because you have to respect him from the three-point line. You have to respect him on the low block. And on top of that, he's just a smart player. He knows how to pass. He knows how to play within the offense. He's not going to take a lot of bad shots. That kind of guy. I think he's a guy you need on a team, even if it's not in that capacity as a center. You just need a guy that plays within the offense, knows his role, and delivers on a nightly basis, and that's what Blackshear's turned into since Robinson went down.
Yep. A whole bunch of props to Blackshear for that win. He was definitely the MVP in my book.
Oh yeah.
Even though Outlaw did get that go-ahead 3 with the assist from Beatty, which was absolutely butter. I loved it. I just saw it go in, and it was just, whew. I love it when the net makes that sound. Oh, so good. And especially Duke, because we were up 70-66, and then they tied it with 2 of Marquise Bolden dunks, or one was a layup and another one was a dunk, with only a minute left, and it was a crucial 3 from him. Really impressed with Outlaw, really impressed with Blackshear and the entire team. A great team win. But now, where does Duke go from here? Because we saw R.J. Barrett, he was a little bit, he didn't really do much in the first half. Only got 4 points, 1 field goal, and 2 free throw makes. Cam Reddish went off that game. He was going to get his, and R.J. Barrett later got his in the second half. But nothing to see really from Trey Jones. Their other, top 20 recruiting pick that they got last year. I don't really know what they're going to be doing with him. Jack White, as well, is continuing his streak of missing three-pointers. I think he's 0 of 28 since the last game he made one. Yeah, not really going too well for him. But I still think that this team is a number 1 seed come tourney time if they take care of business elsewhere.
Yeah.
So they took care of Miami, I think on, Saturday they played them. They beat them by 30 or something. Congrats. Yeah. Woo, you beat Miami.
Wow,
good
way
on
to
you.
go.
But what do you think that this team needs to get better, especially without Zion going forward, especially for UNC?
Yeah, it's tough. That team is really centered around Zion, but I don't have too much sympathy for them. They have a ton of talent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to learn. I think that this will be on Coach K, and I'm sure he'll be able to figure it out. How to highlight your best talent, how to get your best talent the ball. And I think that's Trey Jones running the offense, getting it to Barrett and Reddish. And I think they can do that. I think versus UNC, it's gonna be a good one.
At UNC this time, too.
What day is it?
It's, I think, the 9th? March 9th?
Okay. They have plenty of time then.
March 8th or March 9th. I forget which one.
I'm sure Coach K will have them well prepared for that game. I think when you look at their first matchup, that was a freak accident at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
They weren't prepared for it. But, Coach K, a legend, he's going to make sure his boys are ready to play.
Definitely.
And I think it's going to be a good one.
Also, props to Coach K for saying that, Virginia Tech won that game, He didn't come out and have any excuse like, oh, Duke lost because of this or this. He said Virginia Tech won that game, because they were physical and they wanted it. So, thank you to Coach K.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He loves defense, and we play good defense.
We definitely play good defense.
He's gonna love teams like that.
Yeah. But in another college basketball story, so this is a team we're talking about. We're going to Big Ten basketball now.
Big Ten.
Specifically Indiana. We don't really talk about Big Ten basketball a lot, although we know the Big Ten's loaded with a lot of good teams. Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue. But Indiana's sort of been a weird one. So right now they're 15 and 14. They're
Bad record.
Yeah, they're 6 and 12 in Big Ten play. But let me just go over a little bit of what they've done throughout the season. So, going over their resume, this team seems to be a legit giant killer. So they've beaten Marquette, who's now number 10 and second place in the Big East. They've beaten Louisville for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They beat Butler, who at the time was a pretty good team. Now they're sort of middle of the pack. They've beaten Michigan State in the top 10 twice. Twice. No other team has done that this year. Not even Michigan. Michigan, I don't think will even get a chance to beat them.
No.
Well, they lost one,
Yeah.
but they may get a chance. They may beat them at home.
Yeah.
And now they beat Wisconsin. Like, what is with this team? It just boggles my mind. Also, another key fact to point out: they went 3-12 down the stretch in January and February. 3-12, with their 3 wins being Michigan State twice, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Illinois. They got the second Michigan State in March.
Yeah, technically.
So, but it's just a head-scratching team, really, because you beat all these great teams, and then you lose some head-scratchers to, like, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Rutgers. And there's other middle-of-the-pack Big Ten teams in there as well, but I just didn't feel the need to mention them.
Yeah, they have a lot of losses. You don't got to go through all of them.
Yeah, but it's just weird, because this team, they have the number 5 recruit from last year, Romeo Langford, who's been their best player by far, averaging 16 a game. I think he has a field goal percentage of close to 46%, so he's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't see this team going anywhere far if they can't really take care of business against teams that they should beat. This seems like they have like some sort of like mental problems in like approaching games, especially when you get on like a 7-loss streak. So there's definitely has to be something wrong with them in the locker room, in their preparation for the game. But I've seen years where teams like this, from a big conference, like a Power 5 conference, make the tournament or somehow back their way into the tournament, whether it be Oklahoma with Trae Young last year, getting in or backing their way into the tournament as a 10 seed with an 18-13 record. Oklahoma State did it a few years ago, being, I think, 17-13. It's rare, but it happens, and it's been happening more and more lately. And I think this is sort of just a discussion of, are the mid-majors getting enough respect as they should? So I'll put it to you. Do you think a team like Indiana, who has some very good quality wins, but not a very impressive record or overall, resume in general because of the 14 losses, do you think a team like this should have a chance to dance?
I mean, it's interesting because, like you said, they have some great wins. So that proves they can beat the best, right? That proves that if they were to get into the tournament, they're not just a team that's going to get bounced by, any tough competition they come up against.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's some good teams in these mid-major conferences, and the NCAA, the way they do it now, where it's like the team that wins the conference gets in, and like usually no one else does.
From mid-major conferences and stuff,
is kind of silly in my opinion. I understand because college basketball, the disparity of talent is huge because you have so many Division I schools.
Yep.
There is no way, and obviously a lot of these teams, in these mid-major conferences can't compete with, ACC, Big Ten, Power 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is who's got the most money, who's going to bring in the most money, and a team like Indiana.
Big
they're
basketball
Hoosiers.
School.
They got a movie about them.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna bring in a lot more than I don't even know off the top of my head.
Like a Utah State.
Yeah.
Like Utah State just knocked off Nevada last night. But I mean, do you see the Mountain West getting 2 teams in? I mean, Nevada's been great all year, but if Utah State doesn't win that conference championship, they're on the bubble and they may be on the outside looking in. As of now, Joe Lunardi has Indiana in his next 4 out, but at the top of his next 4 out. So they're the 5th team in line. So waiting for other teams to sort of screw up. And I think after this weekend, he'll have that updated to maybe be the first 4 out. But yeah, it's weird. We'll see how they go. They play Illinois this week, I think on Tuesday. Easy team. Illinois is, the bottom of the Big Ten, so they should get that, win.
Who knows?
If they don't, then they definitely should not make the tournament. But yeah, in my opinion, I would like to see a few more mid-majors. Because I remember growing up seeing George Mason and the Colonial Athletic Association. And they would get they would get Drexel in. They would get Old Dominion in as well. VCU as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, VCU made some noise, especially when they were an at-large. They had it was like one of the first years of the first 4 play-in games or whatever. Instead of 64 NCAAs, 68 teams now.
Why not more money?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, VCU is not a very big school. Well, actually, it's the biggest or second biggest in Virginia, but it's not a well-known basketball school.
It's not it's a big actual school, but not a big basketball school.
We have to refrain from outside basketball. We have to keep it within the limits of basketball. So yeah, they're not a very big basketball school. But they made some noise, and you always like to see the Cinderella, like Loyola last year.
Yeah, that's what makes March Madness so fun, and I agree. Because when you look at it, I remember a couple of years ago it was Syracuse. They made it to the Final Four, and they were for sure an underdog, right? They made it to the Final Four. They beat UVA, right?
But, however, Syracuse was in the ACC.
Yeah.
And they sort of got rewarded for being mediocre.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, even though they were an underdog, it's not the same as when, like, Loyola Chicago makes it deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or deep in the tournament. It's just more fun to watch these, like, little schools, whereas, like, Syracuse, you're like, everyone knows Syracuse, like...
Yeah, and that may be a reason of why they got into the tournament.
Yeah,
Everybody knows Syracuse. Everybody knows they won the 03 championship with Melo and, Jim Boeheim and stuff. But yeah, I guess it's just word of mouth and, who knows which team will bring in the most revenue for the NCAA at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, enough NCAA for now. We spent a good 25 minutes on this. Let's hit up some big news in baseball.
Baseball. Can you believe it? We're already talking about baseball. Spring training's going on, but that's not the news we're talking about. We're talking about the mega deal. The biggest deal in the history of the MLB.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's Bryce Harper.
Boom, boom.
He signed a 13-year, I like this soundtrack, $330 million with the Phillies. $330 million. Can you imagine?
That's the most. That's bigger than Alex Rodriguez's contract when he got signed with the Yankees.
Oh yeah.
And that was like $300 million?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm going to be honest. But I remember it was a big contract. Yeah.
It was a huge contract.
But yeah, 13 years, no opt out, and Harper has the right to refuse any trades. So it's looking like he's going to be a Philly for till 2031.
Jeez.
2031.
That is crazy.
That's crazy to think about. But yeah.
But I guess the Phillies just had enough there's no cap space in baseball, but just had enough money to offer him. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm Bryce Harper, why would I go to a team that's, not really that good compared to the Nats?
Yeah, because I understand Harper not wanting to play for the Nats anymore. I'm a Red Sox fan first, but I love the Nats. I go to the Nats Park all the time. And, man, the Lerner family, they built, I think, like 2 separate teams that were legitimate World Series contenders, and neither of them made it out of the first round. And the only player that showed up, or both of those playoff runs, Harper was the one solid factor. Yeah. There was other guys that played okay in both series, but
they had major pitching woes, especially the series against the Cardinals when Gio was up there and blew a 6-1 lead.
And what's his name? Craig Stammen. Is that who it was?
I forget the name of the other guy.
Yeah, they had too many relievers that would come in. They would be shaking. They had the Alabama Shakes. And they would just come in there, blow leads like it was their job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Nets are really good at doing that in the playoffs. But then I just also think of just other people like Ramos who wouldn't get like a hit and stuff in any playoff game.
Yeah.
Weeders.
Oh God, what a joke! I'm so glad they got rid of him. They signed Kurt Suzuki.
Yeah. But what did he do?
He had a catcher's interference. That happened in like my 8th grade league. That's the only time I've ever seen it. It's ridiculous. I can't believe how bad he was in that series. And he batted like 180 like in the regular season. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you don't deserve to be on this team. Especially, I mean, at least like Wilson Ramos, he'd have a good regular season. At least give you a reason to have hope. But yeah. Weeders, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, let's get into some other big free agents out there. So.
Before we do that, I did want to point out that the Phillies and the Nats still both have a 12-1 odds to win the World Series, even after this signing. So
Nats still have 12-1? It must be Scherzer.
It's Scherzer. They brought in Corbin. They brought in Suzuki. They brought in I can't remember. They brought in a lefty reliever. They got a couple other guys. Another left-handed bat. I can't remember who it is.
Who's the best hitter on their team now?
Probably Rendon.
Yeah.
Anthony Rendon.
Because Worth is gone.
Yep.
He's playing for the Rockies now?
He's retired.
Oh, he's retired?
Yeah.
No.
I think he might have gone to the Rockies for a little bit, but then he got relegated to the minors, and he was like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah. He's a mountain man. That's why I thought he went to the Rockies.
Yeah, that's fair. He just moved back to West Virginia and like growing out his beard even longer. But yeah, that old team. I loved watching those teams back in like 15, 16. Those were fun teams to watch. They had a lot of talent, but then couldn't get it done in the postseason, unfortunately. So it's looking like Nats kind of got a whole new look, but they still got a lot of talent. But yeah, we can move on to the big free agents.
Let's hit the big free agents.
They're to the left. I'm not going to go over everyone, but I wanted to talk about Dallas Keuchel. So teams looking at him are the Padres, the Braves, and then obviously Astros looking to re-sign him. Mm-hmm. I brought this up because the Nats signed Corbin to a 6-year, $130 million deal, and I think that's what Keuchel's looking for. He's looking for something similar, something like that. But apparently the market for him is kind of stalled right now. And
Which is weird because he's really good.
Yeah, he is good. He got the Cy Young in 2015. And then the next guy, my man Craig Kimbrell. Oh yeah, you're doing the
Frankenstein hunch.
Yeah, apparently he started doing that like when he was like in high school or something because he hurt his arm or
I remember watching the World Series and they were sort of explaining why he does that.
So he like hurt his shoulder or something, so he went like that so it wouldn't hurt, and then he was like, it worked, so he's like, all right, I guess I'll just keep doing it. But yeah, you got teams, his old team, the Braves, Nats are interested in him, maybe finally get a good closer.
Yeah, they said they'd offer him a long-term deal.
Yeah, and that's what he wants. And that's why I'm thinking the Red Sox maybe won't re-sign him because he's older and Red Sox may not want to offer him that long-term deal. Braves as well said they were only going to offer him a 1-2 year deal to bring him back. So
Nats may finally get a good closer.
Yeah, finally. And then that'll be good to pair with like Doolittle and that. I can't remember it. Rosenthal, I think it was his name. They picked him up. He's a left-handed closer, or not a closer, but he's a reliever.
Yeah.
So those are 3 good guys. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to the NBA.
Ooh,
the National Basketball. Oh, what were you gonna say?
National Basketball.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Jerry West, the logo. But there have been a lot of teams at the top, or a lot of very, very important teams that we talk about that haven't been doing so well lately.
Yeah.
Let's, unfortunately, we'll have to start with your team.
The Celtics.
The Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I want to talk about identity, because like you said, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of hope coming into this season, and they haven't lived up to that hope. And I think what it comes down to is identity. For the Celtics, they've been 1-5 since the All-Star break. That's not what you want to see. I recall 2 podcasts ago saying they were going to end up as the number 2 seed because they were going to come out of the All-Star break blazing hot. Clearly incorrect.
Nope.
I would like to apologize for that assertion. They are bad. They are worse than ever, actually, if you can imagine. And it comes down to one player, Kyrie Irving. How they play with him, how they play without him. So in the first quarter, they're, in terms of scoring margin, they're +3. That's number 1 in the league. That's the best. Better than the Warriors, better than the Bucks.
They're coming out hot each game,
They come out hot. That's because their starters are playing the bulk of the first quarter, as you would imagine.
Kyrie, Horford, all those guys.
And they're doing well. And then you look at the second quarter, they're -0.7 with scoring margin, which is, it doesn't sound bad, but that's 22nd in the NBA, a huge drop-off for a team that's supposed to be a competitor, and that's when their bench comes in. And their bench was supposed to be their best point. They
a lot of depth.
Yeah, they were going to call themselves the BWA, bench with attitude, and they were supposed to be this, great unit that had guys that could potentially be starting on other teams, but they've been horrid. And
they're living up to the bench with attitude, or at least one player, I think.
Oh, my goodness. Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Scary Terry, man. And he ain't looking scary in a good way.
Yeah, he's looking scary whenever he pulls up for 3 with 20 seconds left in the shot clock. I'm like, why? Just run the offense.
Yeah, do you think it's just... Do you think the Celtics just don't know who they are, like as an identity problem, or do you think it's like an ego problem with some players?
I think when you look at Rozier, he wants to be a starter, and he's got a contract. This is his contract year. He wants to show that he can be a starter, so he's trying to make sure he gets his, and that's ruining the team. He's been good when he's been a starter, especially at home during the playoff series. He had great games at home. But you have to be able to play within the offense. You can't go outside of what Brad Stevens wants to do. You have to, especially as a bench unit, you have to know who the personnel you're playing with, know what the coach wants to do.
What the strengths are of the team.
Yeah.
How to feed the ball. And take the good shot when you have, the opportunity to take it. He seems to be forcing up a lot of shots.
He takes a lot of bad shots, and I don't know.
It seems like some players on that team have sort of developed. They're like Marcus Smart. I remember him from last season where he was shooting like 27% from 3, but now he's taking more efficient shots. He's getting better looks because he's sort of playing into the system a bit better.
Yeah,
I think Terry, it could be that contract year that sort of has a lot of pressure on him, but playing with a lot of that pressure is not really helping the team. And it's not really helping the chemistry with Kyrie Irving either.
No, absolutely not. And I kind of want to get into... So we talked about how, Kyrie, when he's on the court... When Kyrie starts, they play well. Once he comes out of the game, they play poorly. But when you look at... when in games that Kyrie Irving sits out, the Celtics are 8-2. Now, granted, a lot of those games are against subpar talent. These are days that Kyrie's resting, taking care of that knee that he had surgery on over the offseason.
And a lot of those teams aren't playing in the NBA. They're playing in the TFC, which is the tanking for Zion.
Yeah.
Right now, we will keep you updated on that.
Oh, yeah.
But back to the...
Yeah. I like that. What is it, TFZ?
The
is what
TFC.
You call it? All right, that's really clever. I like that. Yeah, so the competition isn't exactly up to snuff, but they beat some good teams. They beat the Sixers in Philadelphia. Who else? They beat the Nets, which are a playoff team.
Yeah, both of those are good, solid playoff teams in the East, and the Sixers could potentially win the East.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm not going to read into the 8-2 record like some people are saying, oh, clearly the Celtics are better without Kyrie, because that's simply not true. Kyrie is their best player. He is their most consistent player. Even though you can talk about his hypocrisy where he talks about leadership and then says stuff to the media that seems counterintuitive. And that's one issue, but strictly on the court, best player hands down. They need him to win. They need him to close games.
Yeah, and a lot of players I don't think maybe like that, or like because they probably know that Kyrie is the best player. So maybe people like Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward. I mean, I don't think Gordon Hayward plays with a lot of attitude. I think he's a very good team player.
I think Hayward knew when he signed with the Celtics that he wasn't going to be, what he was in Utah. He was supposed to be, a more diminished role.
Yeah.
I think Rozier's the biggest guy that's playing with an ego. I mean, I don't think Tatum does. He does take bad shots, so maybe that you could attribute that to ego, but nothing he said to the media, and he doesn't do anything as egregious as Terry. Jaylen Brown, class act dude. Most of these guys have said they'd be fine going to the bench in order to make the team work. I don't know. You got to have an offensive identity, and it seems like right now they don't.
But speaking of offensive identity, I mean, there's one that everybody knows. You get LeBron on the team, you put shooters around him. And the Lakers haven't done that.
Yeah, it's a simple formula. And it's something that the Cavs did, and it's how they won a championship. Just looking at the championship season, you got Dellavedova, the Australian legend. He shot 41% from three, and he's taken a decent amount, 3.1 a game. J.R. Smith, 40% on 6.6. Channing Frye, 37.
This is the 2015-2016
on
Cavs team.
4.5 attempts, and that's not to mention Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, both very solid 3-point shooters in their own right.
All-star players.
Yeah, and LeBron on that team, he was one of the worst 3-point shooters. He didn't have to take that many because he was taking it to the hole, doing what he does best.
He's the four guy. He's the guy that powers it all the way to the rim.
And then you kick it out, and that's a strategy. It works so well for them. Now, when you look at this Lakers team, they have a ton of guys that are talented. If you look at them in a vacuum, very talented, right?
Kuzma, Pope, Lonzo Ball, Rajon Rondo still.
JaVale
McGee, although he's not a shooter.
Yeah.
But he can definitely take it to the rim and, dunk it, all that kind of stuff. But
when you put them together, what do you get? You don't have a team that has an identity. You have a team with a lot of guys that are bruisers, and you have a team with a lot of guys that want the ball in their hands. And it's fine if you want to be a bruising team, but you can't shoot 68% from the line. That's just not acceptable.
Yeah. With that kind of shooting accuracy at the free throw line, and you can't make, and LeBron's the best shooter on your team, you're just gonna fall behind, and in terms of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the era of the basketball, the state it's in now. It's about space and pace. You got to have guys that can space the floor, and you got to play fast. And Lakers can play with pace. They love to get out and run in transition, but where's the spacing? LeBron is shooting the best from three. He's shooting 35%, which is okay. It's not bad. He's doing it on 6 a game. So I'm not gonna, hate on him for that, but that can't be your best player. Yeah. You need to have a sharpshooter to surround LeBron with. And they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline because I think they're saving up, hoping to get AD.
Maybe they were hoping that Kyle Kuzma was going to turn into that, that two guy, the shooting guard, but hasn't really turned out.
No, he's shooting 31% below league average.
Lonzo, maybe they were hoping him to turn his shot around or something, but he's been injured and that hasn't been going well for him either. He's pretty good at assists, but
Ball will never be a shooter.
No,
I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah, and then all you're left with is Caldwell Pope and Rajon Rondo. That's not a key to success if you want to shoot the ball effectively.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Ingram will not take a three unless he's wide open. He does hit him at a okay clip, about league average, but he takes 1 or 2 a game, and that's because they leave him open. But yeah, Celtics, Lakers, 2 teams that came into the season. You look at the Celtics, they're like, oh, we made a playoff run and we're getting Hayward and Kyrie back. We're the best team in the East. And the Lakers, They had a young core. They brought in LeBron and then signed 3 or 4 other free agents that were all good players in their own right. So each of these teams are thinking, hey, we got a chance to make some noise in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then a situation where the sum of the parts are actually less than the parts individually.
Yeah, which is sort of weird, but it's sort of true. They don't play well together, and they're not very cohesive, especially with LeBron's comments off the court. Because he's, as Stephen A. said earlier, he's willing to point the finger at his players outside of the locker room. So in the public eye, he's willing to call out his teammates and stuff. When I don't think his teammates, or pretty much anybody who plays with somebody, likes that. They don't like being called out publicly. It's one thing to be called out, in the locker room, or be like, hey,
that's important. You have to hold each other.
Be there under the basket, or hey, spot up from here, make that shot next time, or something like that. That may, drive you. But to be, disrespected like that, on social media or in an interview, players don't take to that very well. And I think that's sort of showing in the Lakers locker room and on the court. And that's sort of how you lose to the Suns.
Yeah.
Who aren't even playing in the NBA.
They're playing in the
TFZ.
TFZ,
the
there
Tanking for Zion League.
I just thought of this metaphor for what LeBron is on the Lakers. So how LeBron's going out and courting AD, trying to get him onto the Lakers next year.
Yeah.
It's like if you and your girl went out on a date and you just open your phone and start swiping right on Tinder. It's probably not going to end well for you.
No. Well, and if you have like 4 girls with you too, trying to get that one on Tinder or something, Yeah,
like I'm actually going to trade you for this girl I just matched with on Tinder.
Point out how ugly they look tonight or something, or like something small.
Yeah, be like, you shoot 30% from 3, and then she's like, what? Who? I don't play in the NBA. Sorry, I got the metaphors confused. Anyways,
it's okay. I don't even know what a metaphor is.
Yeah, English major over here. What can I say? Pretty smart. I'm just kidding. I'm very dumb. All right, next thing. Sixers versus Warriors. You want to talk about that game?
Sure. I mean, a little bit. So, pretty much this game was just to see, how the Sixers match up with the Warriors. They already had won previously this season.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Great game. But now the Sixers are going up there without Joel Embiid. But they still played the Warriors very, very tight.
They hung tight. There was, more than 20 lead changes in this game. So, I remember my friend was texting me. He was like, hey, you got to just stop what you're doing. Watch this game. It's a good one. But, yeah, it was a tough finish. Warriors did come out on top. But, Sixers without Embiid.
They played the best that they could. If they had Embiid on the court, they probably would have won that game by like 5-6 points. It probably wouldn't have been that close. But J.J. Redick got beat there at the end. I think, Klay Thompson driving to the hoop?
Yeah.
Steph Curry?
It was one of the two. I can't remember off the top of my head. But what I want to talk about with this game is, so I think a lot of people, and especially Celtics fans, have been saying how, in the East, Celtics match up the best with the Warriors because of our three-point shooting and, physical wings, that kind of stuff. Just throughout, the last few years with this Warriors dynasty, Celtics have had pretty decent success in the 2 games every season that they play. Even going back to the, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley era Celtics. But now you're looking at the Sixers 1-1 in the season series with the Warriors. Both games very competitive. Who in the East matches up best with the Warriors? I have my ideas, but I kind of want to ask you, pose the question to you.
I mean, I really like the Sixers. Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Simmons. That's a good combination because they got a lot of height, and I feel like Ben Simmons, the assist leader that he is for the 76ers, can really make some potential mismatches with people that are guarding him. Like, what if they put Steph Curry on Ben Simmons? That's a huge mismatch. I believe that Ben Simmons can probably drive that, kick it to somebody, or give it to somebody who's driving into the lane. That's a huge defensive mismatch, I think, for the Warriors. Then you look at teams like the Bucks as well. I mean, Giannis is just a mismatch for everybody.
Yeah.
The only thing is he doesn't really have a great outside shot. So I think the Warriors would be able to exploit that a bit better. And the role players, I think, on the Bucks aren't as good as the role players on the Sixers, because the Sixers have a lot of all-stars on their team that can get it done. And I think when you play against the Golden State Warriors, you need 2-3 all-stars, which the Sixers, I think, have. And when they work together well, I think that they're a team to reckon with on any given night.
That is true. I think the one issue you look at with the Sixers, and this is less of an issue when it comes to playoff time, is that bench. That bench is very weak, and it's by far their weakest aspect. And it's what happens when you make a lot of mid-season trades to try and add that star power to your starting lineup.
You're only playing 9 a game. You know?
And you can't expect anything from your bench players, unfortunately. So it's going to be up to those starters you got to stagger their minutes and then just hope they can close games, get you a good lead, and then close games when it comes time in the fourth quarter when it matters. I think the Warriors, one of their underrated aspects is they have a very good bench, and they've always had a very good bench, even.
Very underrated bench.
Yes, spending a lot of money on these star players, and they're still able to keep a good bench, and you got to attribute some of that to Coach Steve Kerr. But looking at other teams,
what do you think about the Raptors?
The Raptors, they're just a very solid team. They're very disciplined. They play good defense. They have scores, go-to scorer in
Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry,
and Danny Green, knockdown shooter, and they have the playoff experience. Kawhi and Danny Green have been there. They were up 3-1 on the Warriors. I think they would have won that game if Kawhi hadn't gone down.
Yep, Zaza.
Yeah, or not the game, not won the game, but won the series. So maybe that can help them get past their playoff woes that they've had in the past, because that's really the only thing I think holding them back. I mean, their bench is certainly weaker than it was last year when that was the number one bench in the league, but
and they traded away to get Gasol too.
Yeah.
So they got Valanciunas and I think one other guy out of there, so it's sort of making them a little bit thinner. But yeah, overall good team, and the main bugaboo for them, LeBron, is in the West and probably won't even make the playoffs because they're already 1.5 games behind the Kings and 4.5 behind the Spurs for 8th place. So Raptors have a good shot at making the finals, but defensively, do you think that they'll be able to outlast the Warriors just shooting onslaught?
It's tough for any team to do that. Yeah, you can't really expect much. And the last team I'll go into is the Pacers. Great defensive team, but they don't have the star power. So can you win in the playoffs without a go-to offensive player? And I don't think that yes is the answer to that. So we'll move on from there. I want to touch on something real quick with the Hawks versus the Bulls. Two teams playing in the Tanking for Zion League.
Oh yeah, we're getting away from NBA right here, and we're going over to Tanking for Zion.
Yeah, quadruple overtime game, insane game. I just want to talk about two players real quick. You got LaVine, right?
Zach LaVine.
He's turned into a star. He had a pretty poor first season with the Bulls. Now he's averaging 23, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Definitely a go-to scoring guard. But who do they put around him? And I was looking at some of the free agents this season, who they could bring in. You look at a guy like Julius Randle, maybe DeAndre Jordan, someone in that front court, bolster that front court. But you also need a guard to be able to pass. You got Chris Dunn, but he's not a big scoring guard.
He's more of a traditional point guard.
Yeah,
even though he was great at Providence when he played there.
And you can bring in Malcolm Brogdon. Defensive player, bolster that defense.
Exactly.
Or bring in Terry Rozier, because I think you'll be able to get him on a good contract. And he's shown that he's been able to succeed with starter minutes.
Yeah. Although if he wants to step up, he would have to do it on a team that's nowhere close to the talent level as the Celtics. Though.
That is true. But I think it'll be interesting to see what the Bulls do in the offseason, because they got LaVine and Markkanen, and those are two young guys that are very talented, and they're hoping to see
high percentage shooters.
Yeah, it's hoping to see a bright future for them. The next guy I want to talk about is Trae Young, who had a great game. I think he went off for 48, 49, something like that.
He went off, 49 points. 6 of 13 from 3. 17 of 33 from the field. 33 shots.
Yeah, that's what happens when you got quadruple overtime. But he's sort of he struggled early in the season, but he sort of turned it around. And he's got that 3-point shot going, and now you're looking at him like maybe the Hawks didn't lose that trade, because a lot of people were quick to jump as soon as they saw Trae Young struggling from 3 and said Doncic, something like that. It's hard to pronounce.
I'm not Croatian.
Mm-hmm. This guy, he was lighting up for the Mavs. The Mavs started out hot. They were over 500 for a little bit there. But yeah, I'm not going to say, who won the trade or not, because I still think it's too early to tell. But, I'm happy for Trae. I'm happy that, people aren't pointing to him saying, like, haha, you idiot. Now you're on the Hawks, and the Hawks screwed up. They should have gotten Doncic.
Yeah, I think the guy came into the league with a lot of pressure because there was a lot of attention around him, especially coming out of college. I remember watching him when he played for Oklahoma. And this guy's MO during his college time was just chuck it from the logo, and half the time it went in. And I mean, it pissed people like me off who like to see, more traditional basketball instead of, or just, regular 3-point shooters instead of people just throwing it up from like 30 feet out and it goes
Curry
down.
Range.
Yeah, it's just sort of ridiculous, and I didn't really like it. And his team sort of got, revealed for what they were in the tourney when they played a solid defensive team in Rhode Island. And Trae Young just tried to carry the rest of his team on his back, and the rest of his team wasn't really that good anyway to begin with. But it doesn't help your team when you are the sole, or the reason why, or pretty much what he did in that game was shot 50% or more of the team's shots, which is not something that you want to do. You want to spread the ball around, and it seems like he's doing better with assists.
Oh yeah, he's a great passer. But yeah, that's all I got about those two games. Bunch of young, promising stars coming up in this league.
Yeah, the Hawks took the dub in the TFL. They're lowering that percentage down, and to keep you updated with how everything's going in the TFL, currently there are 6 teams, which include the Hawks, the Bulls, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Grizzlies, and the Suns, who are the number 1 overall seed in the TFL. Suns just made some pretty good work.
You said TFL. Is it TFZ?
TFZ,
Yeah, okay.
TFZL, the Tanking for Zion League.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're the first team to be mathematically eliminated from.
Well done. It's so far from the playoffs. It's almost inconceivable that you got eliminated this early. But more power to you.
Yeah. Hats off to them. I think another loss or 2 will get them below 200 on the season so far. So
200% win percent?
Yeah, 200.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Just god awful.
Yeah, and 2 more losses. Hey, it all depends on how you look at it. They could be over 800.
Yeah.
Really,
When in the TFZL, they're over 800. Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll be sure to keep you guys updated on how that goes. And there could be some teams joining the league and some teams, leaving. They could be winning too much.
It's kind of like the Euro League in soccer, or the English Premier League, where like if you finish in the bottom, you get like sent down to like the worst league. It's like that, but if you finish too good, you get sent up to the NBA.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all that's been going on in the TFC. So now we don't have any 3 big questions. We'll be sure to come back at you with our 3 big questions next week. But now we do have a section, the name of our show, Who Fouled Out? So, Raymond, I'm going to put it to you first. Who fouled out for you?
That's a tough one. I think, you know what? I'm going to have to go with the Lerner family of the owner of the Washington Nationals. So the rumor is that they offered him a 10-year, $300 million contract, which was honestly pretty good compared to $33 million from the Phillies. So I'm not fouling him out for that specifically.
Well, why are you fouling them out then?
I'm fouling them out retroactively for the past 5 years, being unable to make a playoff team that could get past the first round, and that's why Harper left. And this signing by the Phillies is a culmination of 5 years of a franchise ineptitude to build around a generational talent in Bryce Harper. So that's who I got fouling out.
Yeah, I mean,
not harsh at all, I'm sure.
Oh no, it's not that harsh. I mean, that's sort of fair. The team that I have for fouling out is Michigan State. How the hell do you lose to Indiana twice in the same season? How? This is not even a good Indiana team. Michigan State was beating them in every category. They beat them in field goal percentage, 54% to 38%. They beat them in 3-point percentage, 40% to 38%. They beat them in they didn't beat them in rebounds, but it was pretty close, 30 to 31. How do you lose that game?
They didn't even beat them in one stat.
What?
You see what I'm pointing at?
What?
Right here.
Oh, the man boobs?
No. What? First of all, screw you. Second of all, they didn't beat them in a heart. You ain't got heart, kid. You got to have heart to win in this league.
Yeah, and you got to have heart in the final 4 minutes of the game, and the Spartans only put up 2 points in the final 4 minutes.
That's really bad.
That's why you lose the games like that.
That's called choking a game away.
Yeah. That was me choking myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that from time to time. It's
the hell
totally
is wrong?
there's many things wrong with me. But that's who I got for fouling out. And that's all I got for this episode, too. You got anything more for the viewers? Or listeners?
Just remember, ESPN 3's picking up the TFZL, so make sure you got a cable subscription. They're going to be broadcasting all the games. It's going to be great. And also, they're going to be taking the technology from the VT Duke game, where half the game is just a giant picture of Zion's face, and the other half is the actual game.
And they're going to be doing that for every Duke game? Or every
TFZL game is going to be half game, half Zion Williamson's head. Just a freeze frame, not even like a live video. Just like a freeze frame of his face, just so you know why the teams are here.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's all I got. Yeah, just keep a lookout on that. Not sponsored. That's completely
yet.
Off the
you could be our next
free
sponsor.
of charge. Yeah, TFZL. Look us up. We're big proponents of what you're doing.
John needs a new car. Come on.
Oh, God. You're right. Oh, please give us money. But yeah, that's all I got.
That's all we got.
All right.
So thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this. We really appreciate it. And yeah, join us next week for a special episode of Champ Week going on in NCAA basketball leading up to the tourney time. And yeah, we will see you later.
See ya.